Welcome everyone. We have a very special live stream. We have Eryn Oft. Um, she is a bassoonist by nature and gravitates towards education of double reeds. Since joining the faculty at Jacksonville State University in 2007, Eryn has developed a double reed studio of 23 students and created the JSU Double Reed Day, an annual event. In 2010, she created Raft Reeds, internationally sold quality handmade bassoon reeds for players of all levels. As a performer, Eryn developed an international reputation performing with orchestras and chamber music groups throughout Europe, Mexico, the US, and Canada. She has been the recipient of travel grants and artistic residencies, most notably with the Banff Center for the Arts. In her free time, Eryn serves as coach for the Etowah Youth Orchestra's Endangered Instruments and the Red Brick Collective Woodwind Quintet. Prior to her work at Jacksonville State University, she served as faculty at Snow College and instructor at Indiana University. Eryn is a graduate from Indiana University Jacobs School of Music, receiving her master's and undergraduate degrees in bassoon performance with a minor in early music. Her teachers include Stefan Levesque, who is also a former guest on this series, and Kim Walker and Mark Eubanks. So, welcome, Eryn. Super great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so um, I know that this whole pandemic situation has kind of thrown a wrench in a lot of people's plans, but yeah, I hope you're doing well. And yeah, so I think without too much, we will get started with our little masterclass session. So I'll bring Kate on, who is our player. She will introduce herself, and yeah, and then we'll get right started. So let me pull them up. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Great. So why don't you tell us about kind of who you are, how long you've been playing the bassoon, kind of stuff you do. Um,
I'm an associate professor and coordinator of the music department at the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma in Chickasha, Oklahoma. And my background is in music theory and flute. And about 2.5 years ago, I took up bassoon. And I've been taking lessons for 2 years now from Anna Resnick. And I'm here to learn.
yeah, wonderful. So Kate is going to be playing the solo from Scheherazade and from the second movement of Tchaik 4. So first is Scheherazade, so I'm going to play that for all of you. Great, that was amazing. So I'll just let you two get started with our little masterclass.
Bravo, Kate. It's such a joy to work with you. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this first solo. I have a couple of questions for you. How do you feel about venting?
Venting? Fine. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, do you vent currently?
Yes.
Okay. Were you venting in the solo?
Probably only on the B's. Anything that I skipped into.
Yeah, there were a couple of cracked notes, which is why I asked you about it.
Yeah.
Teddy, I'm getting like echo. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's just me, but it sounds like everybody is in stereo, myself included.
I got it too.
You do. And it started when Kate was speaking. I don't know what happened.
Sorry, let me see if there's anything I can do about that. Um, are you getting feedback right now?
It's not necessarily feedback, it's just like me and echo. But not just any echo, it's like Hello, 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 hello.
Oh, weird. Um, yeah,
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
let me see if there's anything I can do about that. Meanwhile, if you guys could maybe proceed now, I'll try and figure something out. So sorry about that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
No problem.
thank you for
Okay.
bearing with me.
So the first thing is we had a couple of cracked notes. And so I
Yes.
wanted to check that when you're hitting that B natural, because I hit it on the B naturals, at first you were venting. The other thing is it might be how your tongue is hitting with your air.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna look a little bit at that now that I know you are venting and you like venting.
Okay.
Are you flicking? Or is it like flicking or real venting?
So I am flicking on the B's and the D's, and especially in that recording, I was not venting enough on the high G's, and now I'm venting a lot more.
Oh, like half.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got you. Okay. There was just like a couple of notes where I was like, it
Yeah.
almost wants to growl at you. Like the bassoon was like, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so little guy is growling at you. This one, I want to see if we can do some things to warm up the tone.
Okay.
Soften it up, make it a little bit more. I mean, you've got some nice phrasing already happening. So, Teddy, it's not doing it. I don't know what you did.
Yeah.
You worked some magic. Do you know you worked some magic? Okay, I'm just letting you know when it works. Okay, the phrasing was so nice, Kate, but I just want to take it to the next level with warming it up and richness. What kind of bassoon are you playing on?
I'm not quite sure. I think it's either a Fox 51 or a Fox 4,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a, intro student model.
Yeah, it's one of the plastic ones, it looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then the warming up that we're going to have to do 100% with this one is going to be softening the body.
Okay.
Because you always have to remember with bassoon, and this is so hard because we spend how many hours making reeds and focusing on reeds, right?
Yeah.
You have to remember the reed makes part of the sound, the vocal makes part of the sound, the bassoon makes part of the sound, but more than any of that, like equal to that whole setup, about 50% of that setup is like bassoon, reed, vocal. The other 50% is you.
Okay.
So if we can soften your body up, we can warm up that sound and make that bassoon even richer and warmer. Okay?
Okay.
So easy ways that I like to soften the body, which is really hard when you're playing in front of everyone for a masterclass, right? Like you're like, oh my God, I gotta be like chill in front of everyone. I get it. So we're just gonna work our way through this together, okay? I have my bassoon here too, so you're not alone. Okay.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm gonna do is have you roll your shoulders all the way up to your ears. And then down and breathe out. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you do yoga? You just took to that like a fish.
I do.
That was epic. Yeah. Okay. Do that one more time. Okay. Roll them and down. Nice. And that was a great breath. That warm air that you just put out, that's what we're looking for in this solo, is that warm richness. Okay. So can you play a note for me? I was thinking a note from Scheherazade, but I think any note's going to work. What's your favorite note on bassoon?
Oh, C sharp?
Ooh, I like C sharp. Give me
Like
a C
the
sharp.
upper one.
Ooh, nice. Good. Now, as you're doing that, I want you to flap your wings like you're a chicken. You know the chicken dance?
Everybody okay,
Yeah. Do that. Now, the sound is going to waver for you. Everyone who's out there, she's doing the right thing. So if the sound does not go, wow, 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 you're not doing it right. So go ahead and let the sound move with the arms. Nice.
Okay.
Now, part of that is making sure that the shoulders are relaxed so that the air, and when you do vibrato, it can really carry through. So it's nice, rich, and warm sound. Okay. The other thing I want to do is I want to check your embouchure. Okay. It's great you chose C sharp because that means that your right hand is free. Okay. Yeah. You don't need your right hand when you play bassoon.
Oh, I use my right hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, What's it? I usually C sharp is a good one that'll hold it though. You're not gonna like let go for a long time. You're just
Okay.
gonna. Here's what you're gonna do. Let me grab my bassoon so I can show you. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit in the dark. It's raining here, everyone. I kept trying to add more light, so I'll move in as much as I can. So when you're playing, you're going to play, and your left hand's going to hold the bassoon. Let me line it up so you get a good camera angle to the side. And I want you to double check that over here on the side, right there, yeah, I want you to make sure that you can get your finger between your two teeth.
Oh, okay.
As you're playing a note.
Oh, that's tough. Okay, hold on. It's like halfway, I think.
Yeah, I don't want you to go all the way in. Just make sure you can get some space in there. Okay. Try playing a C. A C down an octave might be easier so you don't have to worry about having a fast enough airspeed. Try C down an octave. Nice. How does that feel?
Good. Yeah,
Good.
it feels about normal.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, this is one way to make sure that we're keeping the nice, warm, rich sound. You have to have soft body, but we're also double checking the embouchure here to make sure that the embouchure isn't pinching. Because if the embouchure is pinching, you're going to edge more towards the bright tone colors as you're playing. So for my students, as they're playing along, if they're starting to go to the brighter side, and remember that the jaw, the embouchure, as it fatigues, might want to start pinching on notes. So for those of you that like the epic long practice sessions, myself included, it's always good to do some long tones in between and double check that you're not pinching with that bottom jaw as you're playing. And if you can guarantee that you're not pinching, then you're going to keep that sound warmer and richer. Also, as you fatigue here, it's very easy to start tightening the arms to compensate, because as the muscles fatigue, you're going to start to add in things that are not normal that you would have done in the first 5 minutes of your practice session. Now, this is true not only of just like if you're doing excerpts that you're starting to tire yourself out on, maybe high note excerpts, even like Rite of Spring or Bolero. But let's say you're doing a lot of Bolero or Rite of Spring that are high note passages, and then you decide, I'm going to go do Beethoven 4. So you jump from the high note to the double tongue. It's important to remember that the embouchure and the tongue, they work together. So as one muscle fatigues, the other muscle will fatigue. So you have to balance your practice between those excerpts. If you're doing a lot that will fatigue the embouchure, or if you're doing a lot that's going to fatigue the tongue, the other one is symbiotic and you'll start feeling it in that way. So if you do 5 hours on Beethoven 4, and then you're like, well, I've had enough of that. I'm going to go and do some high note excerpts so that, I can actually practice the other stuff. And you were like, I can't hold the high notes. I'm pinching here to get them out. My airspeed is not where it needs to be. Then the bit that's happening is you have to remember those two work together. As one muscle fatigues, it will pull the other one down at the same time. So balance your practice sessions between the two. It's great, Kate, that your embouchure is like, you're holding steady and you're not pinching through here. I have heard of, we'll just go scandalous, keep everyone awake. I have heard of some teachers telling students to put erasers in their back molars so that they make sure that they're not pinching with the embouchure. I have never actually done this. First off, because erasers have that weird coating on the outside, and that's the smell of that. It smells horrible. Why would I put that flavor in my mouth? Like, no, that sounds horrible, first off. But the other aspect of it is I can see myself choking. And I don't want to be responsible for anyone else choking. So the analogy, though, the thing to think about is that is something to keep an eye on to keep those nice, rich, warm sounds. Okay, this will also help because we need to do some airspeed shifts.
Okay.
How do you feel about airspeed shifts?
I don't think I've really worked on them on bassoon.
Okay, so fantastic. I only ask you questions to know where you're at, so I don't like give you something that you already are working on, you already know. I'm just trying to figure out where we're at. So I appreciate your honesty. Okay. So for airspeed shifts, I do a lot with slow air for the low register and fast air for the high register. Now, because we have that verified that you're not pinching very much, like you're pretty good with the embouchure for those high notes, you're running sharp. overall in this recording, you're running sharp. And that's what made me wonder if you were pinching with the jaw. Since we've checked the embouchure and we know that the embouchure isn't the challenge, it makes me wonder if you're overblowing or the airspeed shifts are off.
Okay.
You're nodding your head like you know all of this already.
Well, no, I know that I'm sharp and this reed is a little too short.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So it's not like your normal setup. You went a little
No. The reed, like, it plays really well. I really enjoy playing on it, but with the knowledge that it is slightly sharp.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you know.
So, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is an easy fix. For heaven's sake, play a longer reed.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay, well, fantastic. But it still gives us an opportunity to talk about airspeed shifts.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you do long tones?
Yes.
What long tones are you doing?
I do, first it's descending arpeggio, major arpeggio. And then I do a descending major scale down and up, and then I do octaves all the way up to the top note in that pitch. And then I progress down by half step.
That's awesome. Are you slurring them or are you tonguing them?
Slurred.
Whoa, you're doing arpeggios downward slurs?
Yes.
Okay, you just went up a notch in my book. I'm like, whoa, bring on Mahler 1. What are we doing with Scheherazade?
No, not there yet.
Okay, that's awesome. One of the things that I would maybe suggest to help you with the technique side as well as the airspeed shifts, there are 2 books. Hold on. I grabbed both of them so that you can see what they look like, because if you're like me, when you go shopping, you're like, I'm just looking for the cover of the thing that I saw. Okay, so there are 2 books that will help you. The first of these with airspeed shifts, because the slow for low, what I want you to do is have, when you're doing the arpeggios, these are larger leaps because you're dealing like with thirds, right? Thirds, fifths, octaves, right? So when you're dealing with the larger leaps, you have to immediately get the distance. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas if you do something like Simon Kovar, have you heard of this guy?
Yes.
Okay, you do the Kovar, the 24. They're my favorite ones that are in here. I don't want to get you in trouble if this goes on YouTube, Teddy, for copyright, but I will just briefly, is it okay if I show the page? Teddy's like, do what you need to. Okay, they start out really close and next to each other. Okay. Let me see if I can get in here. So they start out like, I love this guy right here. So your notes start out and they're very close to each other. Then you build the technique, which is awesome, because then you can work in some, we're going to work on stronger half holes today. Okay. That's going to help you with stronger half holes. But we start out with small leaps, and then the further you get in the exercise, the larger the leaps go. So you have the airspeed shifts where you're relatively in the same range, right? Relatively kind of slow, low, kind of medium. They're all around each other. And then you start going slightly further, and then you start going bigger, and then they get bigger. And then the slurs the airspeed shifts have to get larger from the slow to low and the fast to high. So that will help with some of that is challenging. I'll save the other one for our next excerpt, but that's one of my big things. I think the finest thing that you did in this excerpt is the accents.
Okay.
How did you feel about this excerpt?
I think I'm still, well, again, the cracking of the pitches, especially the G's, and I'm still playing around with having fun with it, tempo changes, shaping, things like that. So yeah.
Okay. Can you play a little bit of it for us?
Sure.
Nice. Okay, let's start at the end and work our way backwards because that was great. It was like so close to the recording. You've got consistency down, my friend. Consistency down. Okay, so and I was going to cut you off, but I was like, she's going for it. I don't want to stop this. You can't. No. All right. So you have ba da da da. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have to remember that when you finish the end of this solo, you bring in the orchestra. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to bring in the orchestra at the end and you decrescendo too much, they're not going to feel that downbeat that you give them. Okay. So I always like to think of that. I kind of go for the end because I'm so excited that it's, I'm like, yeah. And so I do probably a little bit too much. Don't go by my realm, but I would give a little bit more at the end.
Okay.
It's personal preference. Let me see if I'm. I don't go away from it. I go into it at the end.
Okay.
Give us just that last little bit. Nice. Careful to not tongue the last note. The last note, though, is slurred. Nice. Make sure you get clean between the D and the C sharp as far as the fingers. Good. We're getting there. Okay. The phrasing of this one. We're getting a little bit when you play it. Okay. This is everybody because it's a challenge, not because of what you're doing. Does that make sense? You're playing them even, but the ear is going to hear the long notes as louder. That's just the way the ear works. So you got to give more on the 16th than the 8th notes in order to compensate for that. So you're going to try that as far as phrasing. You don't have to take it at tempo. You don't have to take it at the tempo that I sang it because you're trying something new. If you want to go under tempo, totally cool. Yes. Okay. Yes. You like did it on a heartbeat. Okay. I knew this was going to be fun. Okay. So now we finished on that B. You went away at the end of the B. I want a crescendo and I want to spin that air and spin that vibrato faster. So that's where the fireworks really take off. So maybe take it on the C sharp. Nice. Okay. So this first beat, I spin like you did. You spun it. You spun it a little bit faster than you intended to. It went a little loud. It was awesome though, because you tried it. And I love you for trying it because I think it's very brave to try it in front of people, especially. So you're going to spin that air on that beat and it's going to firework into and it's that same motive again. The second time you get it, I go away from it. And then we get fireworks again. So the first beat, I spin it with a crescendo and with a vibrato that actually accelerandos a little bit. That second B that you have in the second line of the solo, I should say, I hope we're looking at the same edition, but the second line, the second time you have that motive, which I probably just sang off pitch. It's okay. I go away from it and I'm gentle on that one.
Okay.
So I do, like when you have the same thing twice, I view it like it's dessert. Okay, so the first time you have dessert, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go all out. I'm going to get the chocolate sauce. I'm going to get the whipped cream. I'm going to spin that into some fireworks. The second time I go back for that dessert, like you got that motive the second time. The second time I'm like, oh, I want another one, but I'm a little bit worried it's going to make me sick, but it's so good. You got to have that second piece of cake. You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. We've all done it. Okay. It's okay. All right. The second time you go a little bit more gentle on it so that you create an intrigue with it. And it's like, oh, what is that? Draw them in. So let's see if we can start the same motive one more time. Go ahead, spin it, see what happens. Give me some fireworks. Second time it happens, see if you can make it a little bit like questioning. Send the sound behind you instead of directly in front of you. Like the first one, I view it as very direct, like, oh, come here, dessert. We're ready to go. The second one, I'm like, I'm going to do that. Well, nobody's looking. And I'm going to just, everybody's going to be like, where did that piece of cake go? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I took that. Okay.
Okay. Whoa, let me try that again.
Good spinning. That was awesome. That was awesome. We had the same motive twice, but it was not the same thing. Because we all know the story that goes along with this, right? The 1001 Arabian Nights, and she's got to entrance him. She can't tell him the same thing twice. So, you know, he can't get bored, right? So definitely do it different each time that it happens. That was beautiful. Let's go on with a ba-da-da. Yes, careful to not hold the last note too long. Ba-da-da, 1, 2, 3, da-da-da. What will really help you is if you hear the orchestra and their part that as they come in after you finish the solo, because then you can't hold it too long because you'll hear ba-da-da-da, and they'll cut you off and you'll be like, okay, my moment's over. And then you'll be like, don't worry, I come back in a little bit. Right? Yeah. Really beautiful. The big thing I think for this one for you is making sure that the long notes aren't louder because our ear is going to naturally hear them as louder. Okay. So go gentle on the long notes, give more energy to the short notes. Okay. I think that that phrasing is going to really help you. You have such a great musicality in the fact that I can say to you, give one way the first time, give it a different way the second time. You immediately fell back into that. Like that was some of the best playing I've heard. So your ability to have that flexibility is golden. Okay. I would really push on the short notes having more energy and the long notes less, so that the phrasing is easier for you. And then we talked about the last note. I'm going to review my notes here. Bring the orchestra in. Ends of phrases. This is why I was talking to you about long tones. You have such good intention with the front of phrases, but I think you're looking ahead as you play this excerpt, which is something that all of us like to do. And when we look ahead, we have a tendency to forget where we're at, and then we lose the end of phrases because we're going to the next one and we're thinking about the next one, and we don't have the same ability to stay in the moment. It's very, very normal. So what I would suggest is watching the ends of phrases and decrescendoing and tapering. What I like to do is a little lift at the end of the phrases. How do you feel about doing a little lift?
When I do lift right now, it seems like I just cut off the note. So I just need to taper the air more, I think, while I lift. Yes. 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 The long tones will help you with that. When you're doing the long tones, are you doing long tones with crescendo, decrescendo? No, they are just solid air with a drone. Okay. Add in a crescendo for 5 counts and a decrescendo for 4 counts. And then that's going to help you get that control and stamina for those lifting at the ends of phrases, because you naturally have such a great musicality that when I sang it with a lift, you added a lift. If anybody is watching this in the YouTube video and you go back to it, you can hear when I sing, ba-da-da-dee, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-dee, da. I sang it with a little lift. And when you played it after that,
You played it with a lift. So here's the other thing I would suggest. The long tones with the crescendo, decrescendo. But the other thing I would suggest is listen to recordings, which I'm sure you're already doing. But here's the other thing. Sing the excerpt.
Yep.
Because there's no way that you would sing it. Right? Nobody in their right mind would. You would phrase it. You would pretend, I don't know, you're your famous pop vocalist, right? You would schnazz it up with a little zhuzh here and there. So I would suggest singing it and decide which notes you're going to lift and where you're going to do that decrescendo taper, and that's going to help you with it. The other thing I like to do with that is to sometimes add text to it.
Yes.
You do this too.
I do, not on this excerpt, but yeah, I'll find a poem and match words to it or come up with a story. Yeah.
Do you have a story for this one?
No, but my go-to story is always about like a cat curling up on my lap and falling asleep. Something having to do with like a cat and petting a cat.
No, and I can so totally see that, because in a cat, you know, when they like to make bread, those are the little accents, or
Yeah.
dun, 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 you know, when you get that little claw that goes through your pants, right?
Yeah.
That's the little accent of like, whoa, but you still love them, so it's like it hurts, but it's okay. It's like,
Yeah.
I can totally see that. All right, that works. That's a good story. Yes to that. Okay, so I think those are the big things that I would focus on this Scheherazade excerpt for you. You're doing a fantastic job. Sing through it and add little bits of lifts and tapers on the notes, and I think it's going to be exactly what you want. And then give just a bit more on those short notes, and you've got this. Teddy, should we go to the next one? Oh, before we do, I'm sorry, Kate, did you have any questions? I just like threw you for a loop and cut you off. Do you have any questions on this one?
No, I think you covered everything that I was concerned about, so
okay. I just didn't want to have you be like, wait, and then I'll be like,
no.
I got so excited. All right, Teddy, let's cue up the next one.
So here's Kate's Tchaik 4. Here you go. Great, that was amazing. So yeah, here you guys go.
All right, this is one of my favorites. How do you feel about this one, Kate?
I feel much better about it now than when I recorded that.
Tell me about that. Tell me.
So I've actually, dug out the orchestral score and analyzed it, comparing it to the opening oboe solo. So now I have an idea of the harmonic structure underneath it. And this one I have sung with solfege to figure out exactly how I would phrase it. So yeah.
Okay, that just made my day. I don't even know how to unpack that, but you used your theory skills.
Yeah.
You used what you're already aware of, and then you took it to the next level. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me where your head is at with this one, because is this one that you have words to?
I do not have words to this one. It's more just thinking about Tchaikovsky's state of mind when he wrote it.
Ooh, tell me about that, because I teach music history too, so I want to hear where you're at with this one.
Oh, well, it's apparently he was going through a divorce or a separation, but he was married to a woman, and but he had more of an emotional relationship with his patron, and it was through his letters to her and the dedication of the symphony that he really talked about the darkness of life, the idea of, fate in the first movement, but then having hope in the last movement. So in this movement, I'm really thinking about him being retrospective on his life and his thoughts of committing suicide.
Which we're unsure if he actually did that. He
Yeah.
drank that water tainted with cholera, and that's why we
Yeah.
only have 6 symphonies. So we don't know if he knew if it was tainted or not. But yeah, absolutely tragic story with Tchaikovsky. I mean, who knows how many more symphonies we would have if he had continued on. So wow, we went into the deep end of the pool on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's such a fantastic offering that you have as a bassoonist, but as a musician as well, for you to have an awareness of the history and an awareness of who he is. So, I mean, I'm jazzed. Okay, how about we take just the opening of this one, especially since you feel more comfortable with it now than you did in the recording. Let's take just the opening and see what you're doing with phrasing. Don't play the whole thing. We'll save some for us. Just give us a little bit of the phrase. Like, I don't want to sing it because you might take it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll stop at measure 8.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay.
Lovely phrasing. Yes to that. Yes. Okay, so you have great intention with it. The first full bar of this solo, I don't know if you have bar numbers, but it would be 80, 79, 78, 77, 76, 75, 275. It would be the second full bar of the solo. Well, the first full bar, you get what I'm saying. The A natural.
Yeah.
The B flat to the F. That interval. Okay, here's what I want you to do. You're going to blow, and I know you want to decrescendo. Do not decrescendo too early. If you decrescendo on the first F and not on the second F, you fry yourself.
Okay.
Okay, it's way too hard. So here's you're seeing that you want to do that decrescendo, which is exactly what I would suggest, because you're going to the A natural. Why are you going to the A natural?
Leading tone.
Yes! Oh my. Okay, yes. Okay, so you're going to the A natural, and then you have to release after it. I think you might be releasing earlier than your stamina will allow you to. So hold to the first F, then at the end of that first F, do a taper. Do that lift at the end. Ba-da-dee. Be careful to not go too far away too soon.
Okay.
Can we take just the first 2 bars? You don't have to take the and of beat 2 in the second bar, but.
Okay.
Night and day difference. What did you do that was different?
I just tried to mimic what you sang.
Okay, so you have a rock star ear as well, which is why I was so scared. I was like, I can't sing it. I can't sing it. I can't let her know, because I started to wonder if your ear was that. Okay. Well, props for just having such a solid ear you can cheat. Do you have perfect pitch too while we're at it?
No.
Oh, okay. Good, because I keep singing things off pitch, and I was just scared I was throwing you for a loop. For all of those and our friends that do, sorry. What can I say? Okay, main thing is that you get the phrasing correct, not the pitch. Okay, save that for oral skills, right? Okay, so beautiful phrasing there. So it's ba-dee-da-dee-da-da. Da-dee-da-dee-da. A natural again. Our favorite leading tone is back. Okay. So I want to see if you can do more with the Decrescendo Crescendos. Now I sang it for you. Do you think you can try that?
Yeah.
Lovely. Good. If you do even more decrescendo on those last 3 notes that you played, I won't be mad about it.
Okay.
What I see of the phrasing is you have A natural, B flat, A natural. So you have ba, B, ba, And that might help you. The ornament is the ba da dee ah dee, but the actual melodic phrase is ba ba ba, and the accompaniment you can ba 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 is the second line. So it's kind of like when you play Bach. I don't know if you played any of the cello suites or some of those pieces. Your melody and accompaniment at the same time. In that little snippet right there, you are melody and accompaniment at the same time, is the way that I view it. I'm sure others will view it differently, but that's how I view it, as the way to bring out the body. Okay. So I would do just a little bit more taper there as you feel more comfortable with it. Okay. Let's go ahead and go on. You're doing such a nice job.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Nice. Okay, we're getting some really nice phrasing and intention with the overall goal of where you're heading to and away from, which is nice. I can tell that there's a good musicality and a direction that's happening. We're getting a little bit of growly growl in the bassoon on the G flats.
Okay.
Which takes us to my next recommendation of books. Not sure if you have this one. By the way, none of this is sponsored by the authors of these books. Or the publishing companies. This is just books that I like to use in my own personal warm-ups. So, this is just, we're all doing this pro bono. Okay, so this is Drills by Ole Christian Dahl. You have this one?
I just got it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? My favorite one, I would suggest doing a G flat major for you. The Clarks. Do you do the Clarks?
I've barely dug into that book, but
okay,
I've done a little bit of Clark study, like Clark 1, and that's it.
That's okay. Where are you, friend? The ba-da-dee-da. Anybody who has a trumpet player friend, you're going to hear Clarks for your entire life. So you know what I'm talking about. The ba-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-da-dee-da. I'm giving you the abridged version. Ba-dee-da-dee-da. And they do it, and it's actually longer. I'm trying to find the page that it's on in here. You're supposed to do it in all the keys and all of the registers. And I do it daily as part of a warm-up, especially right now. Well, like my house is being renovated, and honestly, my practice has been segued down to doing the fundamentals. Okay. The Clarks are the ones that I am doing on the daily. You need them in G flat.
Okay.
I would highly suggest those because it will force you to make sure that you're getting a good half hole and you're not getting any Wookiee noises.
Okay.
Star Wars fans, right? But when the bassoon growls at you, because it comes in ever so slightly while you're playing, and it's such a delicate solo that I don't want it to sneak away from you.
Okay.
But add in some Clark drills. Like I said, it's an Ole Christian Dahl book, and you have such a good theory background. I'm sure doing it in all of the keys, it won't even be a thinking exercise for you. Some of my younger students, they're like, okay, I have to think through this key before I start. I'm like, I got you. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be golden on this one. Okay, that would be the big thing I would suggest for that. Let's go ahead and take the last tag that's at the end. Ooh, nice ending. And you like held the space after you finished.
Thanks. I think that's the best I've ever done it.
It was great. It was solid. Better than the recording. It was great.
Yeah, normally the pitch just goes, wow.
Yeah. Are you using any cheater fingerings in this one? Because the last note always brings up the cheater fingerings.
It's interesting. So until about this past week, it had kept going flat on me. So I wasn't using any cheater fingerings. And so now it's going sharp on me. So I could use a cheater fingering. I just haven't added it in yet.
Okay. Which cheater fingerings do you want? Which ones do you use? I should say, not what you want, but which ones do you use?
You know what? I don't have it written on this version, but it was just adding another finger to keep the C or the F. Sorry, what clef are we in? The C from going sharp. F from going sharp.
Yeah, I got you. The last note. We're all
Yeah,
worried about
yeah,
the
yeah,
last note because you're trying
yeah,
to add the diminuendo down to nothing and you have
yeah,
to like find a way to do it. Okay, there are
yeah.
several that you can use. You have to find the one that works best for your bassoon and your reed setup. And so there, I have like 5 different ones. Well, I'll give you the top ones. The top one, sorry, my paper is sticking to my elbow. Okay, humidity. The left hand, you can roll over like, let me zoom out a little bit here. So you can roll over the first 2 fingers a tiny bit. So you roll over the tone holes. You know how like usually we would come down on these like this. You're not going to come down on them. You're going to instead roll over them and cover them. And
Okay.
some people can get away with doing both. I have gotten away with just doing one or the other. Like I said, you have to check your bassoon and the intonation that works on your bassoon. I have also done it with just barely shading the low D key on the back thumb. This guy right here.
Okay.
I have done it with that one as well.
Huh.
And I have also, like for the first line, the C, F, that giant leap when you have the down to the F, I have actually shaded that before with ever so slightly putting the pancake key down.
Okay.
So there's some cheater things that you can do to try to make it so that when you have the decrescendos, that F, you can either start rolling across those keys if it's a long one. You can also shade it with a low D key. When I say shade it, I should be more clear, just like I'm saying shading with the pancake key. Do not press the key all the way down. You will get a weird timbre and everybody will be like, what's wrong with the bassoon? And you'll be like, I was trying to cheat. And they'll be like, why don't you just play it like it's written? And you'll be like, have you seen this instrument? So, okay, shading it means not depressing the key completely. We're talking just add it down a little bit so that the timbre shifts ever so slightly as you're decrescendoing. So it covers the sound so it sounds like it's muted without having to work so hard by pinching the jaw or the shoulders getting tight. The main thing you want is the body soft. The softer the body, the more you're going to keep that warm resonant sound. So by slightly shading those ever so just barely, you're making it easier on your body so that your body can stay soft and you don't pinch with a jaw so that the note cuts out. So that's some food for thought for those decrescendos that are a bear for every bassoonist. I'm getting yelped at by a weenie dog to tuck her in. One moment. Go, get in there. Okay, we were never going to hear the end of it unless I just took 10 seconds. I'm sorry. I know that I'm professional. We just do what we got to do to keep the weenie dog happy. Okay. Those are my big things for both of those excerpts. Okay. Questions you have for me on anything?
I think my biggest struggle in this was the phrasing upwards. Anytime I had an upwards fifth. So I think I want to apply now what you said about holding it a little bit before I taper it off. I think that was the thing that really addressed where I was having the biggest issues with the shaping and with the tone. The tone just wasn't good on anything that had a staccato over it. Because, I see staccato and I think, I need to absolutely cut that off. And that's just not the style. So.
Good awareness of your playing. Remember, staccato just means separated. It doesn't mean short. So as long as it has a lift and a warmth to it, that's what we're looking for. Careful to not, like you said, no off with their heads, keep them warm and rich. So maybe look at the staccatos as especially the ones where I have the repeated ones. Ba da dee da dee. I make each one get ever so slightly longer and louder because you have that series 3 times. So the first time I do it, I'm gonna give it like a mezzo forte minus. I kind of like micromanage my dynamics, but it's a mezzo forte minus. The second one, I'm going to go for like a mezzo forte. And the third one, I'm going to go like just almost ebbing on a forte, like a forte minus, right? So each one gets louder and I'm going to push it just a little bit more. So I don't even think of the staccatos as staccatos. I think of them more of just a slight separation. And each time I'm going to lean into it a little bit more, because why would you write the same thing 3 times unless you were really driving that idea home? You know what I mean? like I said, it's like the apple pie. You go apple pie first time, second time apple pie a la mode in this case because it's getting more each time. Third time apple pie a la mode, maybe caramel sauce, or for those that are feeling really risky because I've heard this is a thing, the cheddar cheese.
Ah,
I don't know if other people are doing this, but apple pie with the cheddar cheese and the
that's a
I know.
Vermont thing. It's
Is it
Vermont.
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know where that came from.
yeah,
Okay, you're
Vermont.
like a wealth of knowledge.
I'm from New England originally.
Do you do this?
No. No, I do not.
Okay. Well, you know, for those that are lactose intolerant, don't risk
do
it.
that.
But do make each one of those just a little bit more. This one, the other one, we went big bold start at the first at Scheherazade. The second time we tamed that motive back. This time you're doing it 3 in succession, and each time it should be just a little bit more. Push that envelope like a teenager, pushing that curfew. Right? We've all done that. No, I was not a goody two shoes. No, and everybody else was a goody two shoes, I'm sure. Okay, questions you have for me or anything else? Because that was really on point.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any more questions.
Okay, Teddy, where are we at? What do we know?
Going to start our little Q&A session.
Oh, so exciting!
Yes. So I'm going to, let's see, move the display around. So yeah, we have a couple questions. So the first one is from Karen, my teacher. She says she is curious to hear more about Eryn's methods for memorizing.
Okay, so memorizing for me, because it does not come naturally. I'm not even gonna lie. This is something that I have to work at. I create text for everything that I play. And unlike Kate uses poetry, I'm not that savvy. So I make up words, kind of like a rapper would make up words on the spot. So Teddy, I've got really bad reverb. I don't know if you have reverb, but I have reverb. I don't know what's happening. Oh, here it
Sorry,
goes.
I think you slightly cut out a tiny bit just there, maybe just for me.
It's okay.
Okay.
So I will play the piece until I'm comfortable with it. Then I start breaking away from the piece and I find where the memory slips are at. When I find where the memory slips are at, then I practice from breath to breath. I never practice the whole thing and try to memorize the whole piece. That's too much. That's like eating a whole pizza in one sitting. I can't do it. But if you take from breath to breath, you're going to have the phrasing of from breath to breath. You can isolate that one passage. And then when you isolate that one passage, it starts to become more fluid. And if I'm having a problem with it, I make words to it. And then as I sing the words in my head, I can remember where I'm going, because it helps not only with the phrasing of where I'm going, but it also helps me with remembering to not get overly focused on what note it is. Because sometimes you can do that and then you become so hyper-focused, you're like, oh man, why can't I get that B flat each time? That's the one, right? And the frustration is what's going to stand in between any musician and greatness. And it's the battle that we fight with ourselves. So the more I can make it fun, which is why we all got into music, and the more I can focus on the breath and making sure that I have enough air. 2 things that'll nail me with memorization are when I'm hyper-focused and I'm too hard on myself. And the other one is going to be when I don't have enough oxygen, because when I don't have enough oxygen, I'm not circulating that oxygen to the finger and the brain. And that's when I start making like mistakes that are not normal mistakes. And I can't remember things and I don't know why. So by practicing breath to breath, I get the phrase, I get the chunk. And then as I've got one chunk, then I mix it with the other chunks. And then I start putting the chunks together. I have found that by practicing memorized, it helps me listen to myself in a way that I don't listen to myself when I'm looking at the things on the page. There's just that sense of when you're staring at the music, you're right there in it and you can look ahead. And when you're listening to yourself differently because you aren't looking at something on the page, a different part of the brain kicks in. So to me, it's all about finding the breath and making sure that I keep it fun, because if it's not fun, why are we doing it? And I think that can kick in sometimes. Great question. And I'm so glad you're here. I mean, Teddy's teacher's here. Awesome.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, we also had a comment from Frank Watson who said apple pie without the cheese is like a hug without the squeeze. Thought I'd share that with you.
I'm gonna have to remember that one. I'm gonna use that one. Just I will credit you. That was bravo.
Yeah, so thank you to Frank Watson. Our next question is from Sam Roten. He
Yeah.
asks, can Erin talk about her thoughts on the body bassoon connection for resonance and intonation?
Okay. Body resonance and bassoon intonation, I have really found are linked, like I said at the start of this, that the bassoon, the vocal, the reed, that's going to be half of the sound. The other half is going to be your body and what you bring to it. So if you have tension in the body, that tension is going to come across in the sound. This is why so many musicians are doing things like Alexander technique, or they're doing yoga or even ballet, so that they can be aware of body movement and how, when you hold tension in your body, how they can come across in the sound. So the easiest way I have seen students experience it and see it firsthand is when they're not bassooning. If you hold your arms tight like this and your whole body, you just get as tight as you can and you try to sing, like I'll demonstrate for you. So you're like, everything as tight as you can. You're like, ah. What happened to my voice as I relaxed? It warmed up. Just like my body warmed up, it got softer. You could hear that shift in the sound. So if you're tight in your body and then you go to bassoon, that's going to come across in the sound. So I found, especially for bassoonists, at the ends of phrases, they like to pinch this left shoulder. Think about it. That's the shoulder that's holding the weight of the bassoon. That's the one that, I mean, your left arm is right there. So all of us, we're going to want to tense that shoulder because we're trying so hard to get quiet, but we're trying to stay soft in the body. So as you go to like the end of Tchaik 4 that we just looked at, if you will consciously just be aware of this shoulder and softening it. Kim Walker, who is my teacher at Indiana University, was a strong believer in this. And she was fantastic in, when I would play the end of Tchaik 4, she would reach over and she would press on this portion of my shoulder, and I would just, and it would sink and the pitch would drop and the sound would just go with warmth, but it wouldn't get loud. It would just warm and soften. The other place that I find that bassoonists especially have a tendency to get tight is in their wing. So you know how you have the wings on your back? Right behind that bone, I'm trying to, like right here, that's where bassoonists, because of holding the weight of the bassoon, especially if they're doing a lot of playing standing up, that left arm, they're going to get a lot of tension in that spot. So I like to use the magical miracle balls. They are like inflated hard balls, and I will stick them underneath that portion of my wings and roll around on it to try to keep that portion of my back from getting tight. Because like I said, the tighter the body, you're going to hear it in the sound. So soft body, warmer, richer sound. Also, it's a good indication of, like I said, having fun. A great way that I like to make sure that I'm having fun and that I'm not tightening the body is if I can laugh. If I can laugh while I'm playing, like think about it. If you're gonna laugh and you're tight, that's just awkward. We've all met people that like, right? And you're like, oh, were they really laughing, right? But if you can really give like a belly laugh, your body is going to soften. So I like to, in really nervous situations, tell horrible jokes and laugh with other people because I find it keeps my body soft. And if my body is soft, then I can keep the sound in tension of what I want pure. So I hope that answers your question, Sam. And I'm so glad that you're here. I haven't seen you in ages. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I think we have a couple anonymous questions. Um, yeah, so the first one, someone asked, what inspired you or how did you start your YouTube channel?
Okay. I couldn't be in two places at once. So my YouTube channel actually started with my need to teach music history at JSU, but they also wanted me to come in and give guest seminars on the bassoon for class woodwinds. And the two classes like overlap. So there was no way I could be in both places at once. And so the students for music history would miss out, or the students for class woodwinds. Like I'm all about helping everybody else out because the bassoon, I mean, it's an awkward animal. So I wanted to be there for both and I couldn't. And what I did is I started recording those lectures so that they could play those lectures in class woodwinds for JSU. And then I realized, okay, well, I'll just put them on the internet so that they can access them because the students wanted access to them to review. And I didn't want to have to deal with it. So I started there. I also am a huge fan of YouTube and love watching YouTube videos. So there was that aspect of it. And then my studio students for double reads, they started watching some of the videos and they were like, hey, we want videos on this. And I said, okay, well, let's start doing that. But the other big underlying element that really pushed me, and I'm not sure, some people know this, but I'm not sure everybody knows it. When you're watching a YouTube video, you're watching my video diary, because so much of it is stuff that I have figured out, and then I'm solidifying it by putting it into a video. And in order to put it into a video, I mean, there's a full outline that goes before it. There's the editing of the video. There's the whole, so it's solidifying my teaching strategies. It's solidifying what is working, what isn't working. And for those of you that at some point are maybe looking to graduate, I found when I graduated, I was unbelievably hard on myself. Because when you're in school, you have a teacher that you're seeing regularly. You can see the regular progress you're making because you're usually in ensembles and you're pushing yourself in ensembles, and you have colleagues that are around you that are like, hey, wow, that sounds better this week. It's not that I don't have that, but you don't have it in the same way when you're doing your own professional career. And so it was a video diary for me as well to see what am I doing that's working, how do I keep going with that, and then how do I re-reference that later for the strategies that were really working for myself. So it was all of these creating the perfect storm, and then I put it out on YouTube, and then people started watching it, and then I'm like, well, that's fun. That's my diary, but that's fun. I mean, it was there for students at JSU, but then it was also the other aspect of it. So being a huge YouTube fan, that was something that was important to me. But I don't care if anybody watches the video or not. I go back and reference my own videos probably more than anybody, because they're my diaries and they are my journals of, hey, this was working. And then as I expand on that, that's when you get updated videos on things.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. So Sam Roten asked a follow-up question. He says, how has apprenticing with Ken Potzik been?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I have learned more than I ever thought I would be able to learn. I mean, it's been a little bit of a challenge because of the pandemic, and because the pandemic hit at the same time as me buying this house. And so, sometimes life takes over. So I haven't been able to do as much as I want to recently, because I mean, I did overhaul a bassoon this summer on my own, but I was able to do that because of the skills that I had gotten working with Ken. But I haven't been able to go over there as regularly because, first off, there's not really a house here yet. It's a work in progress, but also the pandemic and trying to make sure that everybody stays safe and healthy. And I want to make sure that, his family stays healthy. And there's some things where you can try to keep yourself from exposure as much as possible. But being in education, you are more vulnerable being around so many people on a regular basis, especially by the time you do reads and playing. And JSU is doing a bit of hybrid this year, but it's not completely online like some universities. So I am very sympathetic to that and careful.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we are out of questions, but on the note of just pandemic, I hope everyone's staying safe. If you're on the West Coast in these kind of fire situation, hope you're doing well as well. And yeah, so I want to talk about our sponsor today for Barton Cane. So Barton Cane is, if you don't know them, they sell GSP cane. They have a huge variety of shapes, sizes, different types of cane if you use them. Yeah, so please check them out. I use them. A lot of artists who have been on Bassoon Zone and players have used them. They're amazing, wonderful people, wonderful service, and wonderful canes. So check them out, bartoncane.com. And I don't have my shirt on today because it's kind of really cold today, but yeah. So, yeah, so with that, I will be ending our live stream. Stay tuned for next week's artists, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you for having me, Teddy.
Of course.